Okay, we're ready to start.
Perfect. Welcome, everyone. I call to order this regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission for February 16th, 2022. Let's get started with the Pledge of Allegiance. And because Zoom is complicated, if you just like to follow along with me, that's fine. I will lead the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Laura, would you please call the roll?
Vice Chairman McKnight. He is here. Mayor Ring.
Here.
Mr. Malin Smith.
Please remember to unmute when you say you're here.
Here.
Mr. Bolazina.
I am here.
Ms. Munzel.
Here.
Dr. O'Mell.
Here.
And Mr. White.
I'm here.
I have Chairman Sema, Alderman Whitmire, and Ms. Miller as absent. We have a quorum.
Very much. Let's get started. Members have all reviewed the minutes from the last meeting. Are there any comments or changes that members would like to make to those minutes?
Move to approve.
Thank you. Can I hear a second?
Seconded.
All in favor of approving, please say aye or give a thumbs up.
Aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, minutes are approved. Moving on to old business. I have two items for old business to review. One is a zoning text amendment of regulations pertaining to oversight and management of tree studies. Section 405.335 Natural Resource Protection Standards. It was approved in our January 19th meeting. However, we did not proceed to do a findings. We're not made by the commission. So at that point, I would ask the commission to please, Mr. O'Mell, if that's possible, would you proceed with reading off the findings, and we will vote on those.
So I move that we recommend the following findings to the Board of Aldermen. There is a public need for the proposed use. The proposed amendment and proposed use are in compliance with the comprehensive plan. The property in question is suitable for the uses permitted under the proposed zoning. There are adequate public facilities such as sewer and water and other required public services. The public health, safety, and general welfare will not be damaged. The land values of adjoining properties will not be damaged. The adoption of a proposed amendment is in the public interest and is not solely for the interest of the applicant.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Munzel. Ms. Munzel, so on a voice vote, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay? None heard. It appears to be approved. Yes, good. Moving on. Second item on our agenda is a conditional use permit. A request had been made by Elliot Abbey and Catherine Kiefer, owners, for approval of the conditional use permit for an accessory structure, detached garage, located at 1089 Mason Ridge Road in the Suburban Estate Zoning District. This item was continued from the January 19th meeting, commission meeting, and to be reviewed by the applicant and resubmitted this month. Is there a presenter? Please give your name and address if you are. That would be Mrs. Violet.
Violet.
Violet, my apologies.
That's okay. It's Marilyn, M-A-R-I-L-Y-N, Violet, V as in Victor, O-L-L-E-T. Do you need my address?
Your address, please, yes.
Okay, 745 Glen Vista Place, and that's Glendale 63122.
Okay. Do you have a presentation for us, or are you just, are we going with what the information you have?
Well, I am just going to give you a little background information before our architect, Max Bemberg, who is also on this call, will handle the presentation portion
Perfect.
of it.
Thank you.
So just quickly, I am the project manager for MDG Renovations. We're the general contractor on this job. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of history, a little bit of background on, at the beginning of January, we passed the ARB session, then we came in front of this committee a few weeks ago, and now we're back tonight with a continuance. And I wanted to give you just a little bit of background on the homeowner and their situation and how this plan came to be. They are established members of the community. They've been here for 27 years. Their house was built in 1937. And when they purchased the property, it was in a little bit of rough shape, as you might imagine. And so they have spent the last 27 years kind of lovingly restored it and beautified the property. And this would just be a continuance of that. They love the community. They want to remain in town and country and enjoy the fruits of their last 27 years of work on the property. And they want to age in place, which is becoming an issue. So the reasons for the plan that you are being shown, they hired a licensed architect to address the needs. And we all went collectively through kind of an exhaustive list of possibilities prior to us approaching the ARB in January. As I said, accessibility is a big concern. They need zero grade access. So the master bathrooms and bedroom suite, which is on the second floor now, is really not accessible at all because of the age of the house. It's a narrow old staircase, didn't lend itself to a chairlift or anything like that. Excuse me. So we made the decision to move the master suite into the existing garage. And that necessitated us to design a new garage on the property. And kind of the good thing about that is that it allowed us to address what had been an ongoing concern with them over the years. Their current situation does not have enough room for visitors and vans and truck drivers to come in and out, load and unload, have a good turning radius, and being able to exit the property, or for a few vehicles to be able to park there. So, and in fact, this has caused a lot of damage over the years. They've had a lot of lawn damage as well as sprinkler damage. So the architect designed a placement of the garage to align with the existing house and to frame a private enclosed courtyard to screen the cars from the street. Now, during this designing, he ran up against some property limitations. We can't add the garage in the back. There are sewer lines on the north and setback on the west. The garage can't face the street. So it was the kind of the only way to go was to have it face the house, which turned out to accomplish some good things. You know, it allowed us to kind of form the courtyard and be able to move the garage far enough back from the house that it could serve their other needs. And we noticed that there were several other town and country residents who had received permission for detached garages in the recent past. Now, one other thing that was discussed by this committee last time was perhaps a structure that would connect the two buildings from the house to the garage. And we did try that. We looked at some options for that, but the garage is so far away from the house in order to give, everybody enough space and turning radius that it was really just kind of looking like a very long bowling alley. And it just, aesthetically, it just was not pleasing. So we came back to the comments that we were given at the last meeting, which was to make sure that the garage is more in keeping with the look and the feel of the house. So we've done our due diligence. We really listened to what the committee had to say. And so tonight we are here to show you our revisions. So Max, you can take it away.
Right. thinking I'm Max Bemberg. I don't know if I need to enter my address or anything like that into the record.
Please name and address, please.
Sure. So my name is Max Bemberg of Bemberg Architecture. The address is 5461 Rosa Avenue, St. Louis, Missouri 63109. And we do have a series of images that's the same set of images that we presented or that we sent out to the board, but I can share that screen as well, just so we're all looking at the same thing. So is this showing up right now with the site plan?
Yes.
Okay. Move this over. Okay. So thank you, Marilyn, for the rundown, and thank you again, everybody, for meeting with us this evening. As Marilyn was discussing, in our revisions, you know, we also wanted to really reinforce, and I'm sure you're all very familiar with the site, but again, looking at this landscape plan, the house is considerably set back from both Clayton Road to the south and Mason Ridge to the east here. And then furthermore, you know, looking at images from that corner, and then especially down Mason Ridge, there's a lot of existing tree line and vegetation that's providing a buffer to that east facade. So the south facade is where the main driveway entrance is to the house, and that's the main kind of front, public front of the house to the street and to the neighborhood. And so in the last meeting, a major point that was brought up from an architectural standpoint was to establish a better continuity between the existing house and some of the details, materiality, and charm of the existing house and the garage. So in the previous presentation that we had, there was a connection between the two in terms of siding and massing, but it was a recommendation of the board to, you know, look closer at how we can tie those together. And so in keeping with the same placement that Marilyn was discussing and giving the clients adequate room to kind of maneuver and turn around and access this new car court, looking at that south elevation, that main approach from Clayton Road, and bringing in the materiality of masonry and brick. So to tie this further or furthest west volume, which is of a similar scale and massing to the garage south elevation, we're using a brick facade to match the color and spacing and bonding of that southwest corner. The window, this first level window will be a little bit wider than the second level window, also keeping with that that portion of the facade. And we're going to use a stamped concrete on the bottom to give that texture of the existing limestone basement that's down there. And it's these details, in addition to incorporating some stone elements of the roof eaves, to kind of bring, again, a stone materiality to tie these two together, as well as some wood detailing to kind of really tie these two facades together, so that the front public approach is going to have that consistent appeal. When we look at the other three sides of the facade, you know, this east elevation here is the one that faces Mason Ridge, which, again, this is what the public will mostly see from that approach. It'll be mostly screened at the street edge. But as another reminder, again, looking at this very first image, there's going to be wisteria, which is kind of a climbing plant that will be planted along the perimeter of both the south and the east facades to kind of help buffer not only at the street edge, but also provide a little bit of a landscape buffer at the face of the building as well. And again, looking at those in 3D, again, the house is not photorealistic, but it's kind of giving us a sense of scale in terms of what we're trying to get at in terms of taking the board's comments into consideration and trying to make more of an effort to bring the materiality of this brick and the stone and give that a little bit more character and the kind of charming feel that was brought up in the first meeting. Yes, so that's where we are. Thank you again.
You're very welcome, and thank you guys. Thank you for putting the work into this. Are there any questions from the commission? Mr. Bolzina. Commissioner Milazina, you're on mute, so.
Should I keep sharing my screen, or do you guys want me to?
It might make sense to leave it up there just to be able to answer questions as they come up.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I think the applicant has done a very good job listening to the last meeting. I really appreciate the facade on the south side, which I think is the predominant facade in this building addition. It is mimicking the west wing of the existing house almost exactly. I think the overall effect will be, and what I was hoping for, it would be something that would look like it was maybe built in 1936 as an auto court addition to the existing house. So to me, I think they've done a very good job. And as has been pointed out, the east and north facades are fairly well buffered by existing landscaping and will be buffered even more by additional landscaping. So I think the ultimate goal, at least for me, was to make sure the Clayton Road elevation was in keeping with the historical nature of the house. And I think this revised plan has done that. So I appreciate the effort to attempt to respond to this commission, and I would hope that we will not tinker with this too much and that we would pass it on for approval.
Marion, you are on mute, Marion.
I would just wanted to concur with Mr. Bulazina's comments that I think I do also appreciate listening to the recommendations and what they've done with that. So I think it's, actually it's always been a charming house. I'm glad this was done, and I'm glad it's more in, especially the south side facing Clayton Road. So I would actually just say job well done. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Laura, have there been any comments from the public?
We have received no public comments in regards to this item.
Commissioner Malin Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to concur in large part with what Commissioner Bolazina said and what Mayor Ream said. And Ms. Volette, I much appreciate your comment about the desire to age in place. That is something that I can identify with. I very much agree that this is a charming home, and it does reflect 27 years of caring concern. In my opinion, the location of the garage is perfect. It makes good sense relative to the rest of the site. I am not in favor of any consideration that would try to connect it to the residential structure. I think that would look awkward, and I'm glad to hear that that concern is not embodied in the plans that we have in front of us. I will also say that the changes made to the south elevation of the new building are well done. My concern is that the changes to the south elevation are a step in the right direction. And I have a concern about the fact that nothing's been changed on at least the east elevation. Max, if you could please switch to another screen that you showed momentarily earlier, not this one. No, it's further back in your deck. It shows the east and north elevations.
Okay, all four. Is this?
No, you flashed it, flashed momentarily. Yep, keep going. Now go one more. Stop there. That's the one that I was wanting. To me, this visualizes what my concern is. I understand that there is significant vegetation existing on the east side, but And I also realize that this structure is not a house, but there's a principle that the city applies to new house constructions that I think is relevant. And that is that the sides of that new house should have a portion of the same material existing as is used on the front elevation. And again, this is not a house, but there's a principle embodied in that ordinance that I think does apply here. I'm concerned that we are ignoring doing the similar treatment to the east elevation. And I think there's a matter that consistency and adherence to the principle that applies to houses should be applied here. So my recommendation or request is that the excellent job that was done to the south elevation be continued to at least the east elevation, because those are the two elevations facing heavily traveled streets.
Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Menzel.
Thank you, Commissioner McKnight, Vice Chairman McKnight. I just wanted to say that I think that also appreciate the applicants listening in the last meeting, and my concerns have been addressed by the repositioning of the garage. So I think it looks great.
Thank you.
Other comments, questions? Do I have a motion?
No, I have a question.
Okay, Commissioner White.
Yes, sorry, I'm not on video for some reason. I concur fully with Commissioner Malin Smith. The east and north elevations are extremely visible from Mason Ridge. Unfortunately, we don't have that vegetation there year round. I understand there'll be some mitigation on the east side with plantings, but I do feel that the east and north elevations are not in keeping with the rest of the very attractive home of the applicant.
I see Mark's iPhone. You've raised your hand. You can.
Hi, this is Mark Gordon. I'm a
Give us
146.
Give us your. There you go. Thank you.
Yeah, 14628 Amberley Hill Court. I'm the owner of MDG Renovations. First of all, I live on the border of Town and Country and enjoy what Town and Country has to offer. I appreciate you all listening to us tonight and letting us represent. I think that we passed the ideas around that we were asked to pass to enhance the elevation to the south. We did have some masonry ribbon around the building, which was not in favor of by the board, and so we enhanced the side of the building that we were getting feedback on. And like I said, we're heavily covered on all other sides, and the client, we've worked hard to try to get this building to work in all the ways that a project needs to work. So we're hoping that this is going to suffice so we can move forward with the project. And I just want to thank you for your time.
Is there a motion to recommend approval of conditional use permit with conditions as set forth in the staff report to the Board of Aldermen?
Yeah, I'll move to do that.
Second.
Mayor Ream, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Romell. Okay, further discussion. Commissioner Bolacina.
Yeah, I mean, I drive Mason Ridge Road to Clayton Road every night when I come home. And we are in the middle of winter right now, and it is very difficult to see through that row of bushes or whatever the heck they are. on the Mason Bridge side. I mean, it is very, very dense, even in the winter. So I, again, would say that the applicant has done what we've asked them to do, and that is at least make the Clayton Road the predominant side of this development, to make the Clayton Road side in keeping with the historical nature of the existing home. Even if we impose some kind of 10% rule, I mean, you'd end up with some silly amount of brick on some other elevation, which would not be in keeping with the historical nature of this house. I think when this siding is painted dark brown, like the other siding on the house, or its hardy plank is ordered in a dark brown material, that you're not going to see this. It's going to disappear behind these trees. And I think they've done, again, a very good job addressing our concern that it be in keeping with the historical nature of the existing home.
Commissioner Miller, you are muted.
Thank you, Commissioner McKnight. I want to be very clear that I am not advocating a 10% addition of brick on the east elevation. That is not the intent of my point. My point is that our home building ordinances attempt to achieve similarity on the primary elevations that are visible. And this is an elevation to the east that is entirely facing a well-traveled street. I think the fact that there is existing elevation there today is somewhat irrelevant. Because imagine hypothetically coming before this commission a month from now is another standalone separate garage on a corner lot. And they would put appropriate facing on one elevation facing one street and ignore the other. And our response would be, well, we allowed it in this case because there were trees in the way. I don't know of an ordinance that is built upon or enacted based on what the surrounding elevation is or is not, or what the surrounding vegetation is, whether it's there or not. So my only point is I'm trying to build a reference point to existing regulations in our city. Thanks, Commissioner McKnight.
Other comments or questions? With that, I think we're to the point of a vote. I have a motion to approve, and that is duly seconded. Laura, would you please call the roll? Laura, are you muted?
Yes, she is.
Vice Chair McKnight,
Yes.
Dr. O'Mell,
Aye.
Ms. Munzat,
Aye.
Mr. Bolazina,
Yes.
Mr. White,
No,
Mayor Reem,
Yes, aye.
and Mr. Malin Smith.
No,
The motion carries 5-2.
Okay, thank you, Laura. Thank to all of our presenters, and thank you guys. Just comment from me on this. Thank you guys for listening to the commission, taking our feedback, and I think doing something very creative with it. And I like how it's turned out. So good luck moving on to the Board of Aldermen, and see you there.
Thank you.
All right, I don't see any other business. Is there any other business we need to discuss at this time before we move on to the Board of Aldermen report? Our resident alderman is not here tonight, so we're going to turn it over to Ryan to read comments. That is his report from the Board of Aldermen.
Thank you, Vice Chairman McKnight. From the desk of Alderman Whitmire is the following. At the last Board of Aldermen hearing, the Greystone record plat was unanimously approved. Public hearings were held for the Claymark conditional use permit for the pool and the pool house. There were no comments. The public hearing was held for the zoning text amendments related to the convenience store at Dallas and Clayton. There were no comments with that. And the public hearing was held for the Town and Country Market conditional use permit. At that time, Alderman Holman noted 2 potential additional amendments related to the site plan if the applicant was amenable. The additional conditions were as follows: that the applicant shall be responsible for the installation and maintenance of all landscaping adjacent to Ballots Road, and any other conditions that are subject to a maintenance agreement between St. Louis County and the City of Town and Country for that area. And the applicant shall be responsible for the installation and annual renewal of 1 block security camera system with access by the Town and Country Police Department on the east side of the property. So these will be brought forward as part of a substitute bill on February 28th. And that concluded the business of the board at the last meeting.
Thank you, Ryan, for that reading. I think we might have set a record on timing tonight, and I want to thank all of the commissioners and for being here. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Everyone, all nay. Anyone want to stay longer? Say nay. That motion carries. We are adjourned.
Yeah. See you
Thank
next
you,
month.
everybody.
Bye.
So long.